Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's developer live stream. We're going to be talking about Narbash, joined by my good friend Nathan Mooney. We have Adam Bellafuel, designer for Narbash. We're also going to be joined by Tim Ellick, our lead effects artist, and Mark Morgan, who will be talking about concept art and modeling as well. Lots of Narbash.
No, I'm very excited.
Lots of hype.
I made a lot of efforts to make sure I was awake for this stream. Let me tell you about my journey to getting awake. So
this is a nice little story. We'll get everybody warmed up.
Yeah, so everything, all quiet on the Western Front Monday, coming into work.
Yeah.
And you note to me that I seem kind of tired. So I'm like, oh, you know what, I'll get some coffee. I haven't had coffee yet. Go downstairs, make myself some espresso. And then I'm walking up the stairs. And, of course, I'm just prone to tripping lately because that's just a thing in my life. So I'm walking up the stairs, and of course, this is the moment it happens.
Right.
I trip, and I would say everything is slow-mo, but immediately just scalding coffee all in my face, all over my arm. Thank you. Yeah. It's scent of dark roast. Yeah, so that's, and one of the other guys saw me, and he's like, well, that sucks. And I was like, yep, yeah, it does. And just taking paper towels, clean up the stairs. So that was my morning.
At least it didn't happen when we had all the community folks out here, because I think no one would let you live that down.
No, I mean, I assume not. I mean, that's only fair, really, to not let me live it down.
Yeah. I feel bad for you. So, as you guys know, we're now in open beta. Paragon is now free to play. We had our open beta launch stream happen last week. We had an amazing group out from the community, which consisted of Twitch streamers, YouTubers, Reddit folks. We had people from the forums, we had cosplay. We had API developers. It was a fantastic time. We got to meet and talk to just an amazing group. We hope you guys enjoyed that stream. We'll have the rebroadcast of those up hopefully today.
Yes. Just
finishing up thumbnails on those, and those should go live. We have a couple other community updates as well. Hero Race update for the Fae. Be certified, dethroned.
Yeah.
He won 2 in a row.
Nice.
And then finally with the Fae.
Shocking turn of events.
Got 3rd place. Yeah. So congratulations to the Patriot, who was the winner of the Fae Hero Race. Bean ID came in 2nd, and then Be Certified came in 3rd. We will see who will win for this week's Hero Race with the launch of Narbash. We are changing the rewards kind of back to the community cumulative milestone goals, where it's like, hey, we hit 250 million. Okay, the community is going to get 10,000 rep. We hit 500 million. Now the community is going to get 20K rep. And we're doing that all the way up to 1 billion. So along the way, if you hit those milestones, you will actually get that reputation in your accounts. So
something to work towards.
Yeah, it is, right?
Across the week.
So, we'll continue to iterate. That's something we tried, I want to say, back during Greystone and Chimera.
Yeah.
So we'll bring that back for the launch of Narbash. You can actually get this. We've raised the cap a little bit. 40,000 reputation if the community reaches 1 billion with a B total XP. So looking forward to that. And the other thing we want to mention was the Twitch API linking. We had a little bit of confusion around that during the open beta launch stream. Obviously, it's our first week, first time ever unveiling the feature. So the rewards are random. You can get them sporadically. We'll have them going throughout this stream, and you will get them over the course of the game's lifespan for currently whitelisted channels that we will have announced later this week. But basically, if you're watching or streaming Paragon and you have your account linked, there's a chance that you will receive rewards from a loot table. They can range from reputation to card packs to skins to all sorts of things, boosts. So it's a way for people to be engaged with the game and not necessarily have to play. If you're watching other awesome folks stream the game and learn about the game, and you're actively engaged in chat, we want to reward you for that. And again, that'll be refined, but it will be rolling out basically this week. We had a couple that we gave out over the weekend. We had the Gameaholics beatdown tournament, so shout out to those guys. We had Dan from our EU community team out there with Aiden So I think Team Oxygen Blue won, which is B Certified's team.
Nice, nice.
So we dropped a couple rewards in that channel, as well as some of the folks that were out at the community event. But we'll have a full blog available for you guys that provide more information and clarity on how it's used. But basically, all you need to do is watch Paragon or stream Paragon, and you have a chance to win some awesome stuff. Last but not least, before we get into Narbash, it's actually two things. First off, we had the community vote for the 31 card pack series. The winning cards, the poll actually closed last night, 9 p.m., but the winning cards are Shepherd's File, which has an active of 2.85 mana regen for 15 seconds, and then it provides plus 10 health regen to nearby allies for 7 seconds. Internally, guys, just want to add a little tidbit here. I've been using that card on Narbash.
Yeah, I'd actually seen some really interesting builds being used around like some of the regen stuff in Narbash.
So when it comes out, if you already have it, then you should put it on Narbash.
If not, save that rep.
Mimic my build. The 31.1 community card is Splinter Bark Vest. Is 16 physical pen, 22 energy armor, and it has an active for 6 seconds on hit with a basic attack. It will shred 32 physical armor from targets for 4 seconds. Shred, for those that don't understand that term, basically blows up armor for the entire team.
It's more of a team benefit than just a solo benefit.
So makes that card very valuable for team fights. If you're fighting against some tanky Iggy builds, got Tim in the back. I know he said he was doing that. But makes it so that when you engage in a team fight, you can benefit your entire team and engage on someone that is very tanky. And then last but not least, surprising, I thought Lantern Spring would win this Guardian's Ward, 6.5 physical damage, 100 health, and then the active there is to place Shadow Wards, which recharge when you go back to base. People value
their vision. People valuing that vision, man.
Yeah.
They understand.
Yeah. Surprised on that one. The last community update I want to give for you guys is we have the Twitch stream head-to-head event with Epic Rare Mask and Epic Rare Link. Those are two of the Epic Rare cards that we've showcased, highlighted basically. Those will be released in 30.2, the entire 9 cards, I believe, that we have. So you'll be able to get those in card packs starting next week. But currently, Epic Rare Mask is in the lead with 63,000 viewing hours. It's like not even close. Listen, guys. I sat and looked over the list. Agonized. He knows. Agonized. I could have chose a couple others. But I sat there and I was like, before the stream started, I was like, Mooney, which one would have won? Like, based on this, it seems like everyone wanted Epic Rare Mask.
Yeah.
And there's a couple others. I'll even throw out the names. Scarab Claws, Thunder Cleaver. We'll have more on those soon. But I don't know what could have put up a better fight because everyone was streaming and watching Epic Rare Mask.
I feel like it's a lot of people like the kind of the diversity of the card, and also just I feel like people were like, oh, this one's like this one is the one people are like voting for, so maybe a little bit like, oh, this one must be like super good. I don't see the potential or something.
Right.
But like I'm happy. So
there's more. I can't wait till you guys see the full list.
It's great.
I feel like I've made bad choices now because of
there might have been a more hype matchup. I don't. Yeah.
I'll try better next time. And I'm saving up my rep for the release of the Epic Rares. I have 330,000. Get on my level, Looney.
Nice. I think I have 30,000.
Yeah.
So similar to the Epic Rare.
So that's it for community updates. Let's hop into the Narbash awesome Narbash announced trailer as of right now.
Paragon, Rhythm of War. In times of conflict, there have always been heroes who inspire those around them. For millennia, drummers have used their skills to support, motivate, and rally their troops. They drive their comrades on to victory with a quiet dignity.
Man, that trailer is awesome.
I actually wish I had like a thunk of my own to throw at the camera,
Yeah.
like similar effect. I mean, not actually throw it at the camera because Hoff would end me, but you know.
I picture you more
yeah,
of
I think
a
you would.
the backwards transition.
Oh, yeah.
drumming routine.
I lost it.
So we got Adam up. Adam was with us last year
with
as
the
well
Fae.
Yeah.
with the Fae. So I want to talk through kind of the design inspiration of Narbash. For those of you joining us for the first time, we typically talk about how the hero was constructed, how he's played. We talk about the art, we talk about effects, and then we typically play at the end of the stream. This week we will not be playing.
Yeah.
We're working on our stream room right now. But Adam, can you kind of run us through how Narbash came into be? Like, what was some of the inspiration for you guys?
So he was one that actually the idea for him came about very early on in the project, and then we had kind of shelved him for a bit. So we wanted to make a hero that affected the minions in some way.
Right.
And that idea kind of spun around for a little bit, and then actually with the Mad Max movie, seeing the War Drummers in there, I thought, this would be a great would be a great character to inspire the battlefield with his drumming skills. So that's kind of where the jump off point was for his design.
Okay.
It kind of came from there. The game was very different back then, but we started there, like trying to make a caster support or a hero.
Okay. Were there any evolutions of his kit from that initial, thought? Okay, he's gonna support, his minions. How many iterations did you guys kind of go through with supporting minions and allies for his kit?
We went through quite a bit of iteration. And then kind of came full circle on some things, kind of back to what we originally had planned. His right mouse button used to be an AoE, which is really strong. He had a passive back when all heroes had a passive that interacted with that for the stun. I actually really like his current iteration because it removed a lot of the complexity that we originally had in the kit. He's going to be a high skill cap hero, but some of the unnecessary complexity is gone.
That dunk comes out like really quickly. Like
It
that
does.
surprised me because I hadn't played that version before, and like with that was super satisfying though, because I actually felt like I was throwing it when I throw it. I actually pop a little shoulder into it when I click the right mouse button, hoping it'll go a little faster.
So one of the things I noticed with his thunk, and I want to talk about the naming of the hero abilities as well, but one of the things I noticed after playing a lot of the Fae is some of the similarities now we're starting to get with, like, all right, I have a skill shot ability. How does the aiming reticle come up? How does it feel when you throw it?
Yeah.
And I noticed there's kind of like a similarity between the Fae's
Her E.
Is the harvest
harvest
I think it's harvest
Yeah.
nettles and the thunk. Is there? Are we going for like a very similar thematic kind of? Okay, it feels the same when I kind of do this.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of working on them both at the same time, so
Right.
they, it kind of explains why they feel similar. But it also, I think we hit on something that just felt really good. It felt really, especially with the thunk, because it's a stun, and
Right.
if you level it all the way up, it actually is a 1.5 second stun, so it's really powerful. So we wanted something that was immediate and had that satisfaction that when I click the button and that stun goes off, you really feel like you've provided some lockdown for your teammates on that.
So I got to go to the names. All right. So his LMB or his, if you're on PlayStation, is the right trigger is called Wallop.
Right.
Then he has Thunk, which is the throwing of basically the mallet.
He chucks his drumstick, and,
Right.
and if it hits you, it stuns you.
And then March, and then Song of My People, and then his ultimate is called Crash Bang Boom.
Right.
Which it feels like a good description. You know what I mean?
Can we?
So the thunk that's a great story. I actually don't remember what it was called before that, because thunk has just kind of stuck. But when he was being played in CompQA, when they would land the thunk. Yeah, Cam McGrory, one of our Comp QA players, would yell, "Thunk, thunk, thunk!" I thunked him. I got him.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
thunked
It's
him.
like Cam's just yelling, "I'm thunking him." What does
Yeah,
that mean?
yeah.
Nobody knows.
So he was coordinating with his team and saying, "Hey, I got this guy stunned. He's thunked. He's thunked. He's thunked." And he would say it over and over again, very loudly. And
Of course.
it was hilarious. It was like, we got to name the ability that. So it's been thunk ever since.
That's
And it
really
works.
cool.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'm curious about is Crash Bang Boom. Was that
Right.
one like? Did you guys just come to a conclusion on that right off the bat, or
Yeah,
was it like,
it-
we're gonna name this maybe something
It
else?
used to have another name. That
Okay.
was another popular culture reference.
Okay.
That had to do with the cowbell, and which he has a cowbell around his neck. And,
right.
Yeah. So yeah, it used to be called More Cowbell. And we had some people in the office that were really passionate about the E being the song of my people, which is a meme reference. So that we had one kind of meme token for
Okay.
names, and
Can't
that
have too
got
many
it, but-
memes.
right. Yeah.
Right.
I love that a meme token. I love
Yeah, so I mean, I really love some of the creativeness around as we start developing more heroes, how we're thinking about names, how we're thinking about, references to pop culture.
Mhm.
And for Narbash, was there any, other inspiration for him being a drummer that kind of inspired you guys to go with his abilities in a way that was like, hey, maybe we could, kind of have fun with this name and then have his ability
Right.
do X, Y, Z as well.
Yeah, I mean, as a drummer, he is a support hero, but we wanted him to feel like a really visceral support. Like when he shows up and he's can turn the tide of the battle by supporting you with his movement ability, gets people in and out of fights quickly. His E can sustain you in lane while you're sieging a tower in a team fight.
Right.
His thunk is very powerful. So when he shows up, we wanted the audio to play a big role in his supporting the team.
It's cool. For his affinities, for those that don't know, he is growth and order. How have you kind of seen Comp play him, and how do you kind of see him being played with those cards in mind, those
Right.
two order affinities?
So he's since he's melee, but he has a lot of abilities that are AoE around himself. He needs to build tanky. He's not not the type of hero you would typically build as like a fighter role with attack speed and that sort of thing, and,
Right.
and a lot of damage. He's very much a support. So yeah, seeing Comp play him that way. He's also, because of the E, his health regen being a toggle. We've seen people experimenting with the mana regen.
Okay.
So that's a big one. If you can build enough mana regen, you can leave that thing up for a very long time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the cool things is like seeing that he's growth is that that regen kind of does play a kit in not only his plays a role not only in his kit but as well in some of the builds he might investigate. Like speaking earlier about Shepherd's Pile, like you kind of mentioned that, and like I know there are a couple other options for like regens that you can use. Like overflowing
Yeah.
gifts would be a cool
The circlet
concept.
of health is always
Circlet
a,
of health,
Yeah,
Yep.
a great
the two
one.
circlets and like thinking up like ideas, like ways to play around regen, I think is awesome.
Yeah,
Because,
if
like,
you can stack a bunch of health regen cards on top of his E ability, I mean, he can
actually
really
keep the
sustain
fight
a
going,
team.
yeah.
I've seen, like a mid lane inhibitor siege that lasted way longer than it could have otherwise, because he's there providing
the morale.
the health regen. Yeah,
it's their morale.
So-
His
Yeah.
morale regen is very high.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. One of the things that I think we don't often talk about, I think we did with the Fae, but we always ask, like, what is the most memorable moment for, we just started asking, what's the most memorable moment you had with some of the heroes?
Mhm.
What has been yours with Narbash in terms of, seeing him be played?
I mean, he's every time he thunks somebody is a it's such a visceral thing for him to pull off, and seeing the team react to it because they know it's such a immediate stun, and it kind of catches the opponent off
Right.
guard. It just allows for a lot of counterplay, and then also his ultimate is a channeled ult, so you have to be careful about when you trigger it,
you
because
don't
he
get-
can be
yeah.
interrupted. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a real specific play in mind, but yeah, it's just thunking, getting the team in quick with the movement buff, and then waiting until everybody's blown their abilities and using the ultimate is it's
well,
a
it's
great
like
way
that
to play.
calm before the storm, right? Like you're kind of all waiting there looking for an engage. Like I'm sure in that inhibitor siege you're talking about, like you're all waiting and then like a thunk lands and it's all like everybody just let's go.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Let's go pop. You hit that hit march.
Yeah, it's
get in
interesting
there.
because his stories are different because of his support nature.
Right.
You know, like the story of like we were sieging the inhibitor and we just kept fighting under this inhibitor and trying to push, and everybody would get low in health, and Narbash would slowly heal everybody back up. And I mean that felt really cool to play a character that could do that and affect the battle in that way. It's not necessarily a highlight reel like all-star play, but it as a support player, it's really cool to be able to affect it.
There's been a couple of times where I've been in game and, like you said with the thunk, someone lands it and it really like sets up the fight, right? So there's been times where I'm sure people have landed like that thunk that they thought they weren't going to hit, and then they hit it, and then everyone's like, oh man, you hit it, let's engage. I was actually playing with Skyless, or Colin, he's the competitive QA lead, I want to say about a week and a half ago, and he was using Narbash, and some of the things that you mentioned, he would set up with the thump. When we were pushing and sieging, he was there providing support. So, he is really going to change, I think, a lot of approaches for teams, be it team fights or just sieging towers and various engagements. So I'm very excited for him. But I don't want to have Adam sit up too much longer before we start talking about the effects. So, Adam, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We're going to get on Tim Ellick and Mark Morgan to talk about the art and effects for Narbash. All right, joined up here by Tim Ellick and Mark. We're going to talk about the art and the effects for the hero. So, Tim, you were up for our hero design panel. You got to talk quite a bit about, our process for creating heroes. And, one of the things I think is important to convey with Narbash, but it goes for all of our heroes, is how the kits kind of sometimes inspire you guys to create effects, and then the challenge that we had, we talked about the Fae when she was on, how things just come together, right, to make certain abilities. For you and the effects team, what were some of the inspirations for you guys for creating the visual looks for Narbash's abilities?
So we typically go and look at a lot of like some superhero films, or there's so many of them lately, and we'll just look at some of the effects in those movies and try to get a bunch of different reference of, like, for Narbash specifically, more like shockwaves and audio kind of like representations.
Right.
Just trying to come up with any way to help show the radius of some of his abilities without creating a really cluttered view space, so that his abilities are visible in terms of how wide they are. And when you're being affected by them, you get feedback that says he's affecting me, he's either healing me or he's damaging me.
Right.
But then also being able to keep it clean enough so that with all the other abilities from all the other heroes going on, we're not like making the game undecipherable.
Well, like in representing that, so like other players may know if like, oh, I'm affected by this, or like I'm being affected by this. Like being able to know that in like a hectic team fight could mean like life or death. Like, oh, I can actually run away from this because I'm affected by March, or am I gonna have to stay around?
Or just being able to see that, oh, he just speed boosted his entire team and they're all coming after me.
Right.
We try to do things in a universal way, so we try to represent status, which we usually call like status effects, in a universal way. So like speed boost, regardless of which hero applies it to you, should always look like speed boost.
Right.
So I think we have a video where
his Q is primary ability.
Yeah.
and he'll like boost his whole team, and so when he does that, he'll get trails on his feet, and he gets like a blue glow. Oh, looks like it's not showing up in that video,
Yeah,
but
it is. It's right there.
he'll have a blue glow on him.
Yeah, there is.
So if he does that around minions or he does that around other heroes, they'll all get the same effects applied to them.
Okay.
And that's universal, so anywhere in the game, like if you run through Gadget's gate and she's on your team,
And
you should see the same exact effect. So we work really hard to just kind of try to create languages that are decipherable without having to like explicitly read some text, or sometimes we mix effects and UI together to try to help sell everything. There's even like a little bar along the bottom of the screen that has an icon on it to show the speed buff, so that that kind of ticks down to give you an idea of how long it'll last. So
there was with his March ability, or is it March, or is it no? It's Song of My People.
Yeah,
With Song of My
the
People,
health regen. Yeah.
it kind of pulsates a little bit. Now, was that intentional for the audio aspect of his kit? So you can kind of looks like pulse waves kind of flowing along the ground in that aura. Was that like intentional for you guys?
One of the critical pieces of information the player needs to know is that it's constantly using your mana. So we try to use visual cues, audio cues, UI cues, and other elements just to help tell the player like, hey, this is a toggle. You have to turn this on and turn this off, so that while it's active, you're actively using your mana. So you couple that with abilities, you can go through your mana kind of quick early game.
Right.
One thing we've added later that even I think it went in like really, really close to cert was we do a post-process shift now. So if you're in that area around Narbash and you're getting healed by him, you'll get a slight green tint on your screen, but Narbash even has, like, he'll see that himself. It's another cue for the player. Like, you hit that button, the whole screen turns a little bit green, and you turn it off, and that green should go away.
Okay.
So we work really hard to emphasize all those kind of gameplay-specific visual effects, as well as just having everything look as beautiful as we can afford.
And then for his ultimate Crash Bang Boom, how did you guys kind of go about creating that?
His ult, I think, was probably one of the toughest challenges because it has to time up in the cadence with the drum animation, and the audio times up with that to some extent as well. So we worked really hard with the audio guys and the animator to just ensure that everything was timed up and syncopated, so that while he's beating on that drum, all the effects that are coming out and affecting the world
are like in time.
Are in as close to in time as we can get. The knock-up effects, if you see, they're kind of similar to Muriel's. We're trying to use a similar language again for, like, Muriel's ultimate has those kind of waves in it, but we tinted them green in this case because if you have Narbash and Muriel, like, then you probably want to be able to decipher between the two, like which person knocked me up. And then we even do things like you can see the decal there is team colored, so that if you're on the other team and you're standing inside of it and there's a Narbash on your team, you should be able to tell, like, this is not the place I want to be standing.
Right. This is not the drummer I want to hear.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of really cool stuff with how those came together. So Mark, can you talk about from concept to modeling Narbash, how that kind of process started?
Sure, to the degree that I can. I mean, I didn't concept him. Herman did, and so he worked fairly closely with Chris Perna on that, and I think with Adam as well. Basically, I had to talk to Adam a little bit about it because I didn't know if it was always supposed to be kind of this large orcish dude, or if it was supposed to be some other creature, and he said that originally he wasn't specifically any particular sort of race or anything like that, but he definitely wanted him to be big.
Okay.
And so I kind of worked a little bit with Herman, just kind of talking about the abilities and whether and also just visually how primitive versus more technical and potentially even like more like a robust kit? Should he be more of a rock star versus, you know, this almost kind of primitive musician? And it definitely kind of moved more the primitive way versus looking like a big rock star, Neil Peart kind of kit. But I was really excited to have this particular character in a model because I mean, like any game developer doesn't say that they're into music. I definitely am into music, and I think in a particular very forked, you know, ever so slightly forked path, I would have been a musician. But and still play guitar. So whenever I got him, I was definitely, you know, kind of interested in the musical aspect of him, the auditory aspect of him. And I think that one of the things that they definitely had to work around with him because of the kit being so large was mobility. He couldn't be set up like a big band, you know, vertical drum because it got in the way of melee. And so I think it basically, there was an aspect of him that was designed in part from pure necessity. And that particular layout really doesn't work on a physical level. You know, he can't really move his sticks through like some sort of harness. So we just kind of had to bend the rules a little bit on him.
Okay.
But overall, he didn't go through a lot of revisions, I don't think, before we landed on the final one.
And can we see the original concept?
We have some of the concept art to run through. Yeah.
There we go.
So I think there were a couple of different revisions. I showed the final one, and this is basically Herman's line drawings. Herman's Chinese, so there's kind of this little cosmopolitan aspect to him where he's kind of got you know, multiple cultures in there. You know, there's as much Ming Dynasty in there as there is D&D, I think, which is awesome. If I had taken him alone and just built him from the ground up, he definitely would not have been as multicultural, I don't think. The cowbell was not actually in Herman's original concept.
Okay.
And that was my addition, and that's kind of where you get that kind of cross-cultural thing. I don't think it's something that Herman would have thought to add himself.
Right.
But since it's so kind of deeply in American culture, you know.
It also adds a bit of more humor around.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And as I was working on this particular guy, Mike Kime had just finished up Egan and Scorch, which is probably our zaniest character, zaniest hero to date. And I kind of wanted this guy to be somewhat of a visual bridge between all of our more serious guys and then the more zany and kind of droll Iggy and Scorch.
And then can we move to I think it's the final concept? Yeah.
So this is Herman's color concept for him. And we pretty much stayed very much in the same chromatic wheelhouse for the final. I mean, there were a little bit of adjustments here and there. I think Eric Terry was the material artist for him. We kind of sometimes the modeler will take on material work, sometimes we don't. In this particular case, I did not. I basically created the high and low poly model, passed it to Eric, and he did his mojo on it.
So the thing that I'm most curious about is who added the symbol?
The symbol was actually added I added the symbol to the model, but it was at the behest of the audio department. And I had thought about it early on, and that kind of came from the primitivization of him, just basically pulling all the like more symbols and any, you know, you didn't want chimes in this kid, any of the crazy stuff that you would see on a even like a gong. I think we talked about a gong and even having him like, you know, hit the gong from behind. It was just any number. It got really crazy in some of the chats that we had about him as to how far to take that. But audio came back and they said, well, tonally we want a little bit more variety in the sounds that we're able to do with him. And I don't know if we actually had like a lot of discussions with audio in the very beginning of this character, but he was so audio based that definitely those guys should have been conferred with at the very, very beginning if they weren't. And he was kind of a new character, and we had never done any, so it wasn't anybody's fault that audio may or may not have been at the very, very beginning of his development. But in the future, if we do any more, I think audio definitely is going to want and needs to have their voice up front. But yeah, I basically added the cowbell, or not the cowbell, but the cymbal at the very, very end, and I. Is a technical aspect of that, I had no room on the UV page for it. And so we have very limited UV space and texture space. So it's actually made out of this cowbell. It's basically just a warped cowbell that I fit into place to make a symbol. This is his high poly model in ZBrush. The hair and beard is really just stub, as well as all the fur on him. We wind up doing that almost entirely in the engine. Well, not necessarily in the engine expressly, but we rely on hair sheets and alpha and a special material for the hair. So I just kind of stubbed that in. But this kind of gives an idea of like the level that I took him for the high poly mesh that we extract the normal maps from. There's minor changes that you'll see between the concept and this model, and then the final in-game model. We moved the drums forward just for mere polygons sake. I had to remove a few elements here and there.
Okay.
But generally speaking, he's mostly the same from concept to final game asset. The drums got moved more for animations purposes. Shows some of the kind of more Asian kind of theme things, almost like the little foo dog demon head.
Yeah.
Chains are always a mess. You kind of have to, I wanted to keep them just from Herman's concept, but in order to keep them in budget, they had to be modeled as like a singular unit.
And there's a lot of times too for gameplay considerations, like when we'll go work with Mark or we'll work with the other modelers to say like, we need to show this particular status when this ability is active. Like, what can we use on his model? Or we'll say, hey, can we get together and think of something we can add to the model that really help like show that, oh, this ability is active and you need to be aware that it's
like
going on.
the Greystone Ultimate, like with his back.
Totally.
So I think in this case, like we wound up using the elements on his back to help, and the tops of the drums get emissive, and it's just always fun when multiple disciplines like get together and we can get in a little bit of time with the modelers and just bang on ideas.
I see. All right, very very funny. Too.
That's funny.
I think it's super interesting.
Trying to trump you.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's interesting that like as kind of you're speaking kind of to the audio basis of Narbash, in the sense that you were speaking earlier about like matching up the rhythm of the drums and everything, and thinking of this character conceptually from that drummer standpoint.
Right.
That's super interesting that this character has a lot of audio cues that are based off of it, and then like the rhythm is matching up and making sure all of that is accurate and makes sense. Like if I make a sound for a cymbal, he should have a cymbal on his kit to like make sure that he can actually play it. And taking in all those considerations, like that's super interesting for like just the conceptually that coming from a character like you were speaking out with that's kind of zany with Iggy and Scorch, like thematically that's like more fire and oil based, and then this one's just auditory based, and like those are two completely different things to me, and like they all have their own specific considerations. Like who should we pull in on this? Who would like be a good person to like be able to comment on this?
Right.
It's about audio, and then like audio people will obviously have perspective on it. Like that's super.
And obviously, that's not something that if we had not had the symbol in there, it wouldn't have broken anything, right? It's not imperative to his actual function, but
it adds a lot more character.
It does.
Yeah,
it adds more character.
That's the cool part.
And as a side thing, and these are things that you don't really consider, is that something that made it more interesting on the audio level actually made it more interesting on the animation level, because now we have this like little kind of physics thing that bounces around and kind of adds movement to him, and those are happy accidents that you really just don't anticipate.
It's a part of the taunt.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, there's a lot that the little small tweaks that just add so much to the heroes, and I'm so glad that we get the opportunity to talk to the community about some of the development of each of the heroes that goes into this, because they get to see where we're thinking about it, then where it goes, and then the ultimate final product that they get. And you know, I just really thank you guys for coming on. It's been awesome to kind of hear that more cowbell.
Thanks for having us.
So we're going to end today's stream with answering a few questions in the chat. Tim, Mark, thank you guys for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
We will show some B-roll, some more B-roll while we're answering questions, and hopefully some folks have gotten some Twitch rewards so far. But again, guys, thank you for being on.
You.
Can't wait till the next one.
Cool.
Hey guys, we're back with some more questions straight from the chat. We saw the official Paragon bot is in there dropping some cool rewards for folks.
Yeah, I think I saw a question already that will there be a skin added? It's a little bit up. Will there be a skin added with Narbash tomorrow when he's in the game?
Will there be a skin? Yes. I
Yes.
believe it is
Ginger Jams?
Ginger Jams is the name of the skin that'll be added with the release of Narbash. So he will have this challenger. For those of you participating in the hero race or just play the hero a lot, you'll unlock his master skin if you unlock his master challenge, and then you can purchase his tier 1 Ginger Jam skin when the hero releases. Alien vs Predator. Will you guys add shields for longer battles? Is he talking about like the Muriel shield?
If you mean shields on heroes, I think it's more just tied to hero design.
Yeah,
like
it's
in the
more
future.
tied to the kit, in some cases cards.
Yeah, and I mean cards like you have like Barrier of Will, you have some of those other cards, and like having the ability to do that. Also, like coming in the future, like exploring the options for what a support could really use.
Right.
Because like I know a lot of people out there are fans of the 4 active, like running the 4 just like you just like drop all of them at the same time and then just roll into a fight.
So are the questions coming from Reddit or from the Twitch chat? Decker, we're answering questions right now in Twitch chat for the next 7 minutes. We have 7 minutes. Let's see here. We will go to B Peach. Why do you not love me? Official Paragon bot I've been watching forever and no skin love. It's a random, it's part of the random rewards. If you get that skin, Peach, you are one of the lucky few. But in the meantime, let the bot do its thing. It'll let you know when the rewards are dropping. Let's see here. Muriel buff anytime soon. I think her shields get nerfed a little too much. Doesn't hold up in game. I can't remember if Kevin talked about that. Did he?
I don't know if he covered her specifically, but we made some Muriel adjustments. But I know that
the latest one was we reduced the cooldown on her
Alacrity.
Yeah, her.
Is it Alacrity or the E?
Oh,
it's the E. No, it's the Consecrator. Yeah,
Consecrated grounds. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just something we're going to continue to look at with her, like with regards to like some of the. I think Steve kind of touched on it, like in the State of the Game, like prior, with like, and also in the Hero Design philosophy blog, like with specifics on like Muriel. So if you guys want to check out some of those blogs, like we're releasing a lot of those, like trying to get really in depth and let you guys know what's going on inside of our heads.
Right. And next up we have Devil's Testament. Will we be able to buy that Paragon jacket? Will we get it in-game PS4 chat as well? I'm not sure if the chat he's referring
I think he's
to
talking
voice
about
chat.
voice chat is what I assume, like
Okay.
in-game PS4
So,
voice chat.
I'll answer first question. First question about the Paragon hoodie. Actually, these were on sale maybe 2 months ago
Yeah.
in the store, and then they sold out, and we're getting I want to say black ones that'll be in next, and we will update when they are in our merch store.
Yes.
But we'll continue to have merchandise, and we try to basically tweet it out, Facebook or forum
make sure we
posts.
make it. Yeah, because those
they
those just went
go
really
super-
quickly. It
super
was like an
quickly.
hour maybe, and they were just all gone.
Yeah, they were gone.
Something like
before
that.
I don't know, before we updated again.
Yeah.
Is he ranged or melee? He is a melee hero with all AOE.
Yeah,
And
the one
one
single,
skill
yeah,
shot.
one skill shot, and then because the Q is the aura around him, the move speed, the E is the health regen, the ultimate is the
Song of my
Yeah.
people. Yep. The Fundator Y. Let's see if I can. Nope, too fast. Too fast for me. These questions are going by super quickly. Any details or hints
on the placeholders for buffs. So in addition to the black buff area, are we getting closer?
We're getting closer.
Soon.
We're getting closer.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good. We're getting closer.
So we put the art in not too long ago.
Yeah.
I think with the release of, it might even been 29. We might have had some of that in.
But the art.
I would say that hold tight. It's coming. It's coming.
Sit tight. Hang still. That's hang still's not a thing. I made that up.
Please give us a bearded, gray-headed Greystone or red-headed Greystone. Ah, that's cool. That would be nice.
Somebody asked about unique effects or auras on cards. One of the interesting things is like there, like with Shepherd's File, like you kind of get the health regen, overflowing gifts, and some of the other cards like the Circle of Mana, Circle of Health actually do give regen around you in an aura, and those are the cards that I was actually during the event we were some of the cool Narbash stuff that like I had learned about was like looking at some of these builds that were like centered around regen that I was getting shown that like some people like enjoy playing where it's like, oh, I in this moment of need I can toggle on my E, pop this Shepherd's File, get my my ranger some regen, keep him alive, and then get back in the fight, like using March. So like there's a lot of combinations you can use with cards that's super interesting.
Will the consequences be more harsh for AFKers and DCers?
So yeah, we actually recently are punishing. We made a change that's punishing serial offenders a little bit more heavily, and we're going to be taking a lot of steps towards trying to improve upon how we deal with AFKers and leavers, as well as like educating people and letting them know, like, hey, this is a MOBA. You're committing to like 30 to 45 minutes of consistent gameplay with your teammates, and making sure that people understand like the idea behind that, because it's understanding that is like half of it, knowing like, oh, there are other people in the game like that are counting on me. I'm committing to this time that we've like gone through this process. And to me, the game lasts from when draft lobby begins to when the match ends, because there's like counter picks, understanding like who you're facing off into going into the game, what to expect early game, like all of that is important.
There you go.
So
the man behind toxicity himself, Nathan Mooney.
One day at a time.
What about balance for people who get unlucky with card drops? So I'll just answer this one with card crafting is coming. We mentioned it a little bit on the dev stream as one of the features that we're working on. It just takes time. We're getting there. And, so we tried to mitigate it a little bit and try to help you guys get an opportunity to have some impact on what cards you can get by introducing the weekly card packs, introducing affinity card packs, and allowing you guys to vote on the weekly card packs with the weekly community vote series that we do for the card packs themselves for each series. So we're trying to hold tight and hold fast while we wait for card crafting to come into play, which as we get closer to it being fully realized and developed, we'll be sure to share more information and probably maybe even do a stream on it.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Awesome. Just to
talk
like
about it.
Run through the feature and stuff.
One more question, Mooney, and then
there was one about can you guys make match length shorter.
Match
There's like a
link.
match link question.
Yeah.
And if the notes dropped today, which I mean they should have.
Yeah, they should release that.
Those
Should be out.
so those actually. There's some interesting stuff about match length in there that we were like making some changes to tier 1, tier 2 towers.
Right.
So I mean I would look to those, try and check out some of the changes we're making. So we're really just trying to like work reactively as we like working with the feedback we get and understanding what potentially might be something that like, oh, we turn this knob and like something else changes, because that's the unique challenge I think with MOBAs as being a live game, is that you tweak a knob here, all of a sudden something may have changed down the line that you expected to, but maybe not in the regard you expected it to, because like a community, you guys, like all of the players that we have in the live, like that in the wild, help explore those options much easier than we can with like 300 people in the building in a playtest, right? So.
One more thing I want to add with matchmaking, match times, is that with V2.8 we came in with really hard changes that basically, I think Steve said this sledgehammer changes to bring down times. And while that approach definitely had a positive impact on the match times, going forward, we're going to make incremental changes to see what tweaks times versus making such drastic changes as we, move into a more stable environment. So I think Steve is going to have some more on that, probably in the state of the game where you guys can kind of read about it. But we're definitely looking at the data on match times and trying to get them down. So we hear you guys. With that, we're pretty much wrapped up. Again, we do not have a stream afterwards to showcase gameplay. We tried to show quite a bit during the stream. We will be releasing the open beta launch stream hopefully today, waiting on thumbnails for those, and we will have the rebroadcast of this stream up as well. Thank you guys for stopping by. We really appreciate it. And until the next time, folks, see you guys later.